Thank you very much, everyone, for joining us this afternoon to this workshop or webinar dedicated to the Ask Food project and in particular to some activities that we implemented during the project time dedicated to training needs and solutions, possible solutions and approaches that can be helpful to support the entire food system in promoting innovation and high quality workforce in the food system as well. So actually, let me use just one moment. Few issues in sharing the screen. So actually this afternoon is the aim of this meeting or workshop is aimed to present, as I told, the outcomes of the Ask Food survey and the discussion about possible opportunities for the clusters, the companies, and any other organization and institution that replied or company that replied to our survey for future activities. And then we will be briefly present the main outcomes produced during the lifetime of the project that are addressed to support the innovation in the food system per se, to favor also the training of new skills or to upgrade and upskill the workforce, but also to promote a high quality education, higher education, to get graduates in food studies ready to enter in the job market according to the needs of innovation of the food sector. Actually, so let me briefly introduce what is about ASKFOOD. ASKFOOD is an alliance, a permanent alliance, knowledge alliance, sorry, between businesses and higher education in the food-related sectors, aimed to favor the networking and the interaction between higher education and business and to promote modern training and educational methodologies to favor, as mentioned already, entrepreneurial mindset, but also innovative skills for the future generation of graduates, but also to favor also the academia, industry or businesses interplay, taking into account not only the innovation target, but also the impact that the innovation can have in our society and in our planet as a whole. So taking into account the so-called quintuple helix innovation model. This means that we have obviously to take into account the new policies in the food sector, but also the main keywords like sustainability and food security for all. The approach of the ASKFOOD project was multidimensional, multi and trans-sectoral, because we took into account different levels and stakeholders, and we offer a networking environment, obviously with all the limits we had with the COVID-19. Target groups or targeted people of our activities were, I mean, a larger number of target groups, which are actors in the food system, starting from those in the educational sector, all training provider, the businesses in general. This means also the small and the large, but also the new type of businesses like a startup, enterprises in general, and a policymaker. Actually, we have been working on different products and outcomes. Different tools have been developed, and actually we will talk about them in the future. And also new training approaches and methodologies have been implemented. So within the activities, but also the outcomes of the project, for us was of main importance to understand which are actually the training needs. And for this, we implemented, we designed a specific survey at which you as a participant, you have for sure contributed. The target aims, the target groups, the target and the benefits that the project was aimed to achieve are here briefly summarized. But overall, you can see that there are three main groups taking into account the higher education and the training provided, the students, future workforce in the food sector, and the third group, which is the most important one for the outreach and the potential impact of the project in the food system, are all the food related businesses, and different type of benefits are thus expected. But let me now stop here, and I leave the floor to Rainer Zwacinka, that will briefly present the main results of the survey we carried out with your contribution.
Good, thank you, Paola. Let me share my screen with you. Good. As Paula said, we do have certain target groups, and to be able, obviously, to also work and produce results and tools related to their demand, we had different surveys. So we started surveys on their demand, especially in relation to training. And as we all know, 2020, COVID happened. So we had a very initial study at the beginning of the project. And then we thought, well, we do have to have another one, because the trends which we observed in the first study, that was actually done in different times. So we really did another study. We asked a couple of new questions, and we did see some new trends. We did see some trends confirmed. And that was really important for us, not to work basically with outdated data, not to base our results and our insights on outdated data. So our current study that was done in spring 2021 to actually really survey on those trends, those innovations, those issues, and the training demand that the companies and the other players do see now, especially with, well, it's not post-COVID, but at least after our very challenging year of 2020. When we look at the participants, so we had 43 organizations replying to our questionnaire from 11 different countries. And we had companies, we had multiplier organizations, and we did have cluster organizations replying to our questionnaire. A little bit more details. You will get this presentation afterwards, so you can have a look, obviously, at all the details after my presentation. We did have different companies replying from the animal feed sector. We had farmers cooperatives. You will see that in the results as well, that some of the aspects are very much related to agriculture. We had suppliers of raw materials. We had traders. We had processors. We had some SMEs in there. We had some research project corporations. So we had quite a diverse group of participants replying to our questionnaire. And looking especially at the training topics, so the majority does really organize trainings, and even of those organizations who do not organize trainings, most of them are very much interested in performing trainings. So from this perspective, we actually had the right sort of participants to our questionnaire, because obviously, as Paula mentioned, we are in this area, we're in the training sector, and that's really important for us. So we did really receive feedback from the right participants in the questionnaire. What was the information that we were collecting? We were obviously in general collecting trends regarding training, and especially any issues, any topics related and specifically for innovation and for training. We tried to also find out in relation to the general perspective, also the key objectives, the action plans, and the roadmaps related to training and innovation, and a strong focus obviously also on any changes that were due to the COVID-19 crisis. When we look at from the general trends, when we look at the sector-specific trends, there were the five main aspects that people were interested in, and the five main trends that was obviously very much expected: food safety and food security. We had then also from this area also food production development and new formulations. And then already we had strongly already in the sector specific skills, we saw the trends towards COVID-19. So obviously, although only parts of it we had specifically asked for COVID-19, but those trends are related to COVID-19 that you can see in nearly all trends asked for. And one important one that is obviously not only due to COVID-19, but a general one, that would be for the stakeholder engagement. When we look at the non-sector specific skills, here you will see trends which we will then have more details in the other slides, but obviously there is a strong focus which was even intensified due to COVID-19 in Industry 4.0 and especially digitization and the whole digital transformation. So this trend, which was already there, which we have seen already in the initial survey, that was even stronger confirmed now, specifically due to COVID-19. Another trend, very important, internationalization. And then those trends which we have seen before are also now stronger and obviously supported by the agendas also from European Commission, from worldwide, is obviously green technology, eco-design. And one thing that is related to this new trends, but also to COVID-19, is the new business models and obviously the sustainability, a very strong thing which we've seen also in the trends. When we look at the skills now, more specific on the skills, we see, and that's what was confirmed, is a lot of leadership training requests. And here, not necessarily only the top management, but especially in the middle management. So that was a trend that was here brought up by the participants. And one thing that is always there, but obviously was a little bit intensified during COVID-19, that's empathy and resilience training. And one thing which obviously, also always there, but again, stronger due to COVID-19, productivity and health in home office training. So that was clearly one thing that productivity and health issues was there before, but obviously, especially in relation to the home office, that is something that came up even stronger due to the issues we had in the past 12 to 18 months. Now, looking more into detail, now you will see we asked for more details, confirming those trends, further information. You will see that the initial trends which we saw, those were obviously confirmed and added further details when we asked deeper into what are the issues and the topics that people see. And when we start with the business models, obviously on the innovation side, there was a lot of trends confirming in regards to the management system implementation, to have innovative management systems, to have business models, obviously, for the companies of the futures, and here specifically business model for innovation and sustainability. And when we asked here on the related training demand, that obviously is then related to those business model innovations, also to the related financing innovations that's strongly related to the business models, M&A, obviously, open innovation, a big topic, always the lean manufacturing. And then here you can see that you will see that on the upcoming slides, obviously also the pandemic issues that are in direct relation with the new management systems that are identified as an innovation trend in the companies. When we look at the digitization, huge topic, obviously anything related to the regulations, digital tools, digital solutions, a lot of it. When you think about it, starting from data protection, starting from other issues, anything that is related to the upcoming regulations, regulations from the European Commission, regulations of local governments, very important topic, not just to implement those tools, but also to make sure that they comply with the related regulations. I mentioned at the beginning, we had some players from the agricultural sector. So you can see that here displayed, because we have here some topics which were very, very much coming from the agricultural sector, which is the earth observation, the geodata integration with the supply chain software. So those data specifically for that sector. And then obviously also the digitization of the production lines and the sales. And when we look at the related training, then obviously it's something that we see for several sectors at the moment, which was obviously intensified due to COVID-19, is general digital competences, but then specifically those digital competences related to digitization of the agriculture. AI, I mean, AI is a classical buzzword. We hear it everywhere. So that would be one point where it could be really interesting for us and will be really interesting for us also to do further follow up what people mean under AI. I mean, it did provide us some further information, such as, for example, data analytics and obviously data visualization, but especially on the AI part, I would like to really do some follow up and to see what specifically people see under this topic. And then when it comes to very specifically for training, obviously e-learning in those days and the hybrid and the blended training, where parts of the people are really at the venue and the others are participating online to a train. When it comes to the sector-specific ones, obviously here we were very much depending on the input of the individual sectors that participated at this survey. So we had in here, in terms of innovation, people mentioned natural and functional ingredients. They mentioned food waste reduction. They mentioned new consumption styles. And here's something very specific from the wine sector, because we had participants from there overturning the traditional paradigm of the wine world. So very specific one, and another very specific one, innovation changes in the current agricultural system. So those ones were obviously, we brought them in because that was specifically mentioned from those two sectors. That's why we wanted to include it also in the summary. When we look at the related training demand, that's with food safety. We had that at the very beginning as well for the trend. So that's confirming here food labeling, food technology. So quite the general topics, but then specific ones such as the challenges of plant-based alternatives, aspects related to food production innovations. That's very much related to what we had before with the digitization of certain production lines. Services and consultants, a general one, animal welfare, antimicrobial use, and environmental impact. So some of those we did have obviously already in there when we looked at our initial study, especially when it comes to food safety, food labeling, food technology, when we know those topics for several years. But some of them were also a little bit new, especially to the digitization topics. Looking at the non-sector specific ones, here people mentioned innovation in relation to the organizational structure and innovation for improvement. Here you can see already also some impact of COVID, lateral thinking techniques to innovation. Interesting one, access to EU programs. That might be in relation to the currently new started Horizon Europe program and also the Erasmus Plus program, which was newly started, quite obvious. Some were related to the marketing mix, collaboration with startups, very important one. We have this also very much in our ASKFOOD project. So this is something that we are really addressing, and open innovation. And the same comes when we look obviously at the related training demand that is related again to the management systems, health, safety, quality, and environment. Some specific ones, which is also related to internal organizational structures and processes in relation to time requirements, availability of resources, some general ones which you can maybe relate to the bigger strategies also in Europe in relation to brain drain and the loss of know-how. Language barriers, very interesting when it comes to what we had at the very initial slides on internationalization, and that is also one topic which we often do see in our Knowledge Alliance projects. Cultural barriers and generation change. So these are topics which come up quite often, which we're also trying to address through having, for example, local clusters. This was also one of the ideas which we were following through this idea of developing and establishing local clusters that could actually deal, especially with the language barriers and with the cultural barriers. One topic, again, which is with this interdisciplinarity, the transfer of know-how between the different disciplines, and obviously diversities. So especially on this slide, I want to say that we did see a lot of those aspects also in our project, and we tried to actually really address those topics also in our project for the collaboration between the different countries and the different disciplines. When it came then to the personal and the soft skills, training demand, I mentioned this already on the overview slide, was on confidence and empathy, communication, leadership, entrepreneurship, innovation management, and resilience. And when you look at just this slide, then you can actually see this is the summary. This is focusing on those kind of topics which you have seen on the previous slides, and it's confirming those trends here now with clear training demand also for the individual people in the companies and the organizations. Oops, sorry, that's just the background here. We then asked, obviously, also not only on the trends they see, but it's obviously very important to see the key objectives, also see any roadmaps and action plans, because obviously seeing trends is one thing, but having those represented in key objectives, in roadmaps, and in the action plan, that is really when those things hit reality. Because if they are not representative of any of those roadmaps, for example, then it will be really tricky to implement those. And especially when we look here at the business models, we had some very specific input. Here you can see some very specific input, which was with this open platform for technology transfer and expertise certifications, these systems for non-ICT technology transfer, the sustainability-oriented innovations, and the new methodological framework addressed to measuring the societal impact of innovation. So this is really very specific, and this one, I think we should really follow up on this and even ask for further inputs to get more input on further key objectives of clusters, roadmaps. I mean, we do have Jonas here from Food Drink Europe. That's really a topic that is very much in their agenda as well, and where we can get really great input from their side as well, because this is really specific. Some of it is obviously on the political level, some is on the national level, and some is really especially for the bigger companies on their individual company roadmaps. For the food sector specific topics, what we saw here is obviously the ATP Food for Life. We saw innovation approaches which the participants had developed to bridge the gap between food industry and research academia community, and agricultural business sustainability development and valorization of technology and socioeconomic indices in rural and sub-rural areas. That is really specific. Gerald, you raised your hand. Maybe you want to say something?
What is SRIA? SRIA.
I think that came from Jonas. Jonas, right?
Yeah, that's correct. What is the question regarding the?
What does it mean? SRIA.
Strategic Research and Innovation Agenda.
Oh,
for research and innovation.
Okay, so very easy, but if you don't know it, you don't know it.
No, sorry for the acronym.
Thanks.
It's a very well-known acronym, so we skipped it. Sorry.
The last one we then had was on sector non-sector related topics. and further information. And that was on the one side to upskilling and reskilling approaches, to implementing the e-learning platforms, to the improvements of environmental impact. So as you can see here, a lot of those things we had before, which is just confirmed here: training of skills of younger employees, supporting of generation change. So quite a lot of things also into environmental health aspects, Industry 4.7. You can look into that. We'll send you the presentation, see if those things help you. And in a relation, that's what I want to highlight here, and that's why we had this at the site, was that specifically those issues related to pandemic issues. The answers which we received there was simply that there are currently no established objectives or roadmaps, because that is so new. So that although maybe the European Commission was considering now roadmaps for it, and we see it on some funding programs, but that they themselves, maybe also organization intern, they simply did not have any established objectives or related roadmaps. So I think what will be really important, ASKFOOD is coming to an end as a project, but will continue in their sustainability program. And I will ask then also Paolo to say a couple of words on that. But this is something which we really want to focus on, and also collect further information, follow up in the upcoming months and years, to further collect those roadmaps, to further collect those objectives, because there will be a lot of things coming up which are related to upcoming issues. And after COVID, I mean, we see COVID now, but especially climate change, sustainability, that will be a huge topic in the upcoming years. I know also Gerald, he's coming from the organic part, from the organic area. So there will be a lot more topics coming up. So we see a lot of potential for the upcoming years to collect further input, and then obviously not only collect this input, but then react with further activities. Just here to show that when we ask specifically for COVID-19, as you can see here, the majority at least saw slight changes, moderate changes, or a lot of changes. So only a couple of people did see no changes at all. And I think all of us can confirm that there were quite a lot of changes due to COVID, especially when it comes to the related roadmaps and objectives. And obviously with the answer in the back that a lot of those objectives and roadmaps are not fully defined so far, because first of all, COVID is not over, and second of all, not enough time passed. Things which specifically were answered is that obviously business related, there was a big focus now, and is a big focus on the recovering business. A lot of things in relation to resilience to the current situation, to external factors, and adapting the business models to changing environments. Let's see if that is possible, especially people were mentioning flexibility, but obviously a lot of business models do not necessarily allow by the business model itself to be flexible. Strong focus, we mentioned that already in terms of digitization, although that was already in the last years, but that even was confirmed strong. We saw it everywhere, the digitization popped up. When we look at the food sector specific topics, obviously food safety in the pandemics and the impact of COVID-19 on the food productions. And obviously, and let's see if something changes in autumn again, when we have maybe new regulations or new restrictions, also see more information on the COVID-19 regulations in relation to the food sector specific topics. In terms of trainings, anything that is done with remote training and less on-site training, and obviously very practical workshops to react to the specific issues that came up during COVID-19. Now you might ask yourself, well, we're mentioning a lot of things, but do we have some solutions? Do we have some ways of how we can actually address it? Yes, at least in ASKFOOD, we did work strongly in the last couple of years on related tools. I mean, that was already before COVID, and several of those are obviously also very helpful when we look at now at COVID and the related, especially training demand. And here, to give you a better overview, I would like to hand back then to Paola to give you some more input on those tools which we have developed in ASKFOOD, and which now will be handed over into our sustainability program. So we're not a project anymore. Now we're in the post-project phase, where we are really looking at applying those tools to the best possible impact in the agri-food sector. Paula, may I hand back to you?
Yes, thank you very much, Rainer. Maybe before moving to the next part of my presentation, I would like to ask both Gerald and Nikos, which are with us this afternoon in video online with us, if there is any comment in relation to what Rainer has presented to you. Maybe additional comments are obviously welcome.
So as we are, let's say, active in the ICT related to food chains, supply chains, fighting fraud in global, local, whatever food chains, I share practically most, if not all, of the findings. We are quite a small company, so I would say that our training needs are not that high due to the fact that we are very innovative and are running several projects which deal with the future of some of the topics that were mentioned, like geodata, Earth observation data integration, and some other issues around that. So it's more or less training on the job, which is always not, that people who know how to train, they say training on the job, okay, you need to get some more innovation in it. But due to what we do, it is a lot of innovation. So we are seeking a lot of new knowledge and are digging it up to find it ourselves to use it in the projects. But in general, I concur very much with all the results and findings. That is also what we get back from the industry, the companies, the certifiers, the farmer groups, whoever it is in this business. Even we are currently discussing with the with other sectors like the finance industry, the new supply chain laws from that has been passed in Germany and will be passed in the European Union, the financing regulations, the EU indices, the EU taxonomy for sustainability in the finance industry, where we are also looking with our tools how we can serve the environmental, social, and governance topics, governance topics. So this is all, I would say the findings are absolutely relevant, and I concur with all of what you have found. It's what it's needed and what people and companies are looking into.
Thank you very much. Nikos?
Yeah, good evening from me also. So the findings of the survey are very, as Gerard said, are very precise, and they are very useful for us, especially for our company. We are very small, and we started our activities by training entrepreneurs that want to act in the agri-food sector, or either they are in the primary production or in the industrial part, how to implement innovative business models with targeted actions, as Rainer and the ASKFOOD project has pointed out, that needs special attention for each enterprise. Of course, it's different, because if it's a new one, it needs another attention. If it's an old one where you have the transition period from father to son, it's another one. Or if you have a third generation, which is going to give it to a larger company. So all this are pinpoints of targeted actions that we assist companies to identify and then use their energy and actions there, so they can have the biggest benefit by using resources, or either is finance resources, as Gerard said, which is very important these past 2 years, as COVID-19 has brought into the surface. But of course, the recession period before that, and whatever the challenges of finance we have in the future. So it's not just the resources that are in financing. It's also how to use your human resources and how to use your capital in general. So training during this period, after, let's say, COVID period, or this period we had the last years, is essential. It's essential because what we have seen is that there is a big percentage of loss in focus, in business focus, because everybody is trying to survive. So it's easy to lose your focus when you're hanging from your own hair, as we say in in our region. Of course, we learn how not to do that because we don't have any hair. But okay. So yeah. So yeah, people in the agri-food sector, we need more guidance than tools. Because if you have the tools and you don't know how to use them, then it's better.
Mentoring and tutoring, actually.
Yes, mentoring and tutoring through this smoggy environment that is being created in this sector. There are many questions rising in many companies. Should I continue? Should I do this? Should I change? Should I produce, or buy from another country which is cheaper? So if they are in manufacturing, so there's a lot of questioning going around tables of the management of agri-food businesses. This area, of course, the issues of legislation, and they are coming, and they are more strict, and many of them are not ready or can't even understand what's coming, and that this period they should have used it to prepare themselves for what is coming, and use tools like funding schemes through various organizations and EU funding schemes. And there's a lot to be done. It's a lot to be done in the sector. So the ASKFOOD project and the results is a good map of where to go to the next years in mentoring and tutoring these organizations. And either it could be also public. I mean, it's not the private enterprises that need mentoring and guidance. Public policies must reform and must be more adapted to what's going on, not to climate adaptation, but to general earth adaptation.
Yes, thank you very much. Maybe Jonas, if would like to make also a reply from Food Drink Europe about these interesting perspectives.
No, I fully agree with the remarks that that Gerard and Nikos has provided. I mean, that's things that really are needed especially for small and medium enterprises, which require that mentoring and that tutoring. And that's an interesting approach. I hope that some of the tools of ASKFOOD show some of the interest, because one of them that will be explained now is an atlas of resources. So that kind of tool, I think, is of interest. Where to find the help at national or European level where you need it. So I think I will give you the word, Paula, to explain that part.
Yes, thank you very much, Jonas. And we really hope that maybe future projects or I mean, we can find the way to support these tools, really to support the innovation in the food sector. I just mentioned, I would like just to make a reply to I mean, a further comment to Nikos and Gerald. I mean, we need anyway mentoring, yes, tutoring, yes, but we need also knowledge. I mean, everything cannot be based just on experiential activities or work or the transmission and the transfer of the knowledge from one generation to the other. We need also to try to transfer the new knowledge that the science and technology is developing, and obviously I think that Gerald, working in the ICT sector, knows it very well. And also when we buy an iPhone or a mobile phone, how to use it. I mean, it's not just how to use it, but try to get the best from it when we use, and we must have obviously some knowledge behind also to have the better results. So actually, I would like briefly.
Can I just
yes, Gerald, please.
get in again for, you know, pouring some water in the wine. It all sounds nice. However, our experience is that there is already a lot of knowledge and training opportunities, and most of the research and innovation funds available from the EU are very hard for small and medium enterprises to get. And so a lot of those offers are just staying for them out there in the blue. Of course, then you can give them mentoring and tutoring and help and tools and tables and resources. But then we have another issue, and that is change management. I think there's not a lack of consultants and tutoring and mentoring opportunities, but a lack of time and a lack of companies really being willing to engage in that change management process. And so while they know they have to change, the daily work is so dense and so much that when you come with an innovation that they know they need, often the problem is that they don't have the time to change. And so this is something which I'm struggling quite a bit, because in all the different sectors, I see that also through these EU projects, a lot of platforms and tools and knowledge is provided, but then how to implement it with companies, that is actually the challenge in the day-to-day work. And we see it with the digitization, with the introduction of remote tools, which would help in the digitization, less travel, remote inspections, and all these kind of things. But people are just saying, leave me alone because I cannot cope with all of that. And the how to deal with this change, that is for me an open issue, which I don't see too many strategies on how to break this deadlock that you have a lot, that there is a lot, but then it's not implemented because companies and organizations are assisting. So this is what we are facing, what we call change management as a problem.
Yeah, actually we need also a new generation, I mean, a different generation of people, and maybe a workforce with the new skill, the new knowledge also in place, and the change of the workforce it takes a long time to occur. That's the point. So actually, and then we will discover what happens. Will happen after the COVID-19. So the future generation that we actually don't know, because they actually also the people at the university and the training, everything was stuck and everything was done online. So let's see, but I think positive. So briefly, I will briefly introduce you what we have done in the ASKFOOD project. Obviously, we developed the tools, but one aspect that we tried to promote, actually two out of them. I would like just to highlight the networking environment, trying to put together also, as I mentioned, the networking environment, putting together also companies and actors from different sectors. And in the business, not only the small or large enterprises, but also the startups, for instance. So putting together, also playing some role in the innovative training approach that we developed, which is called the reverse incubator. And I will explain you later on. And the second one is related to the, the collection of existing best practices. We have not to invent the wheel, but we have to try to capitalize what has been already done in order to allow also the continuation. For this reason, what I'm trying also now with this presentation with you is also to show you what we have done, to see if there is, obviously we have, for instance, the DBTA platform I will show you now, something that is finished, but actually due to COVID-19, we were late in order to have it active, let's say during the project duration. Nevertheless, we tried to put together different best practices to favor somehow the transfer of the knowledge, and we need now to transfer also the knowledge of this project in real life, let's say, from one side, or be capitalized by other projects. So let's have a brief look to what we have been developing. The Smart Atlas is the ones Jonas was also mentioning before. Actually, the Smart Atlas is, let's say, an open repository of best practices and results of projects and additional information about entities and a database of information that can be helpful for, let's say, to give you some hints about innovation, how can be done innovation, and who is working on innovation. So actually you can use this database, this open repository, both to just have a look at the entries, or you can be active and you can add additional entries in the 8 categories we have set. Actually, we include the training centers. Sorry, I don't know what is happening. The training centers, the EU project result, the accelerator programs, the crowdsourcing and crowdfunding, startups, innovation marketplace, and finally MOOCs. Actually, you can see this is these small spots in the European map because we focus on European resources, and actually it can be used by any interested people to find information that could be helpful to really promote some innovation in the company, or also to network, or to develop new projects, or to find resources for additional trainings or projects. Another virtual tool is called Forecast Aggregator. Also, this is rather interesting because actually is a collection of scenarios of where the food system is moving, taking into account 8 main areas or sectors that are affecting the development of the food system towards 2050, let's say. We don't know. Actually, the acronym of the 8 sectors that were taken into account is TEMPEST. Actually, we take into account the technology, economics, market habits, policy and regulatory framework, environment science, and transformative industry and social dynamics. And within these 8 sectors, we identify the main trends, and then key documents, let's say, that allow to identify not only the scenarios in which the food system is moving, but also the new professions and the new skills that are needed for the future scenarios. Just to show you here the market habits, there is a description. There are the trends, I mean, which are collected, that have been identified, and for them, you can see that for each of them there is some text, and at the end you can find the main documents that are relevant for the specific sector. What is relevant is that at the end of the trends, you find also the new professions and the new main, I mean, the skills and the competencies that are becoming relevant for the new scenarios. So actually we identify the 3D printing specialist, the bioraffinery expert, or the drone driver, but also the climate manager. So this is these are just examples of new professions that until now were not in the job market. The third one I would like to share with you is the interactive gap training identifier. Actually, this is is a virtual tool. Is a virtual because it's obviously online, is web-based, and is designed to increase the knowledge or awareness for the skills which are required for a specific job or a position or role in different sectors, identify according to the the profession or the sector which are the skills needed, but also the skills and the knowledge gaps. Actually, we identify within this interactive training gap identifier 3 main sectors, which are the food manufacturing, the food service, and also the researcher. I mean, the general role or figure or profession as a food scientist or researcher. And actually, we identify the career path which are characteristic of the profession, starting from the graduation, because actually we focus our attention to the higher education levels or professions. And we identify for each of them, just to show you, I mean, this is the career map, I mean, for the different sectors. Then we have also new professions that have been identified. For each of the sector, we have the career map, the skill framework. For each sector, we also linked the profession to the ESCO professions and profiles, just to not double what has been done already in an excellent way. And then also for the specific sector, the new skills and the future professions. Here you can see this is the career path, for instance, for the food manufacturing. And then there are also some supporting tools we have prepared, we have added in order to allow both the companies, but also the individual to identify potential skills gap. The fourth one actually is the ones that we would like to have it on place and really active, but actually the COVID-19 was the ones that actually was slowed down at most, is the digital business and training ecosystem that was designed as a virtual platform for networking and favoring the training towards innovation of food companies, businesses, startups, and food companies, clusters and apps. Actually, this is called a digital business and training ecosystem. Is ready, but we had a technical problem with the company that has designed it. Actually, you can see here just this is the home page, and you have a menu on the left-hand side with a series of sub pages that contain a series of information and activities or I mean actions that can be taken and activities that can be done within this platform. Under the DBTA in action, I mean, you will find all what you need to understand what is the main aims and the activities that you can do within the digital business and training ecosystem. And actually, the main aims are to favor a networking environment, but also providing knowledge or transfer knowledge about what we were saying before. I mean, also networking opportunities, but also opportunities in relation to projects, or also to favor the interaction between talents or graduates with the job market and professionals and training providers. There is also space, there is also a section dedicated to the training materials and tools to promote innovation. The target groups are here represented, actually: clusters, hub, organization and association, universities, individual companies, but also individuals. In the knowledge cluster, just to show you, there is also a sub-menu in which you will find all the members that register, because actually you have to register to navigate and be included in all the activities. There is a business idea and ideas exchange where we added, where it's possible to add any proposal or any networking or idea or event meeting, and we added, for instance, already the event of today. As well as some past events we organized within the ASKFOOD project that were addressed to the startup the startups. Finally, the talent marketplace actually is the space dedicated to the young, the young generation of professionals, the graduates, where they can register and be in touch also with the other members that can be obviously industries, cluster associations, and there could be the opportunity also to interact. There is also the space, in the member page is possible to write messages to the people which are a member of the platform. The knowledge management toolkit actually try to support the activity of the community of practices and the knowledge cluster, and it is organized as an aggregator and a practice sharing tool, and developed with the six building blocks on learning and knowledge management process, as here shown, with the start from the knowledge diagnosis, knowledge creation, the transfer, the internalization, the knowledge brokering and sharing, and then finally the knowledge codification, which is, there are very good hints that can be taken into account really to promote the internalization of the knowledge and to promote the innovation in a more deep way. Last part I would like to show you briefly is the training session, where we have a library that contains a series of documents related to food policy, innovation, and other aspects, divided also in different categories, and the same is for MOOCs, dedicated obviously to our sector, and there are the links. Obviously we do not create MOOCs, but it's something like a database or a repository that can be taken as a reference. I am afraid that I cannot show you all. Final tool is that we implemented also for networking purposes is the ASKFOOD Observatory, which aims to become a reference to trace the changes in skills and competencies of the future graduates in food studies. It will be open, is already open. You can also register to the observatory as a member. Actually will be exploited by the ASKFOOD Association, and the registration is free anyway. There are a series of already contents in this platform available, and will be developed and implemented in the next months. Actually, we in this observatory, we try to connect experts and representatives of the main stakeholders of the food sector to trace the skills gaps, but also to promote, to tell to the higher education institution, the universities, as well as to the training providers, what are the training needs. This is an observatory per se, so we will obviously transfer the information and to who is actually mostly doing the trainings and the education we need to promote the innovation, but also the, let's say, the high quality food production and guarantee food security. That is absolutely a key element for our generation, but also the future generations. And obviously we will work to stimulate also development of new projects and education, on education and training. There are different options here, including a toolkit that contains a series of documents. We will be working also methodologies which are relevant for the training and education. Thanks also to the COVID-19 that let's say triggered somehow all the distance methodologies now, and also the ICT that is more and more applied in different sectors. We have obviously to take into account additional and new methodologies in teaching, including gamification or micro-learning. And this means that obviously also this needed to be transferred, this knowledge also to the training providers, but also the teachers, and who is doing training. So this is also something we have to take into account. Last part, and from this point of view, I have to say that this is the training. I mean, I enjoyed a lot this this part of the activities carried out within this task, the reverse incubator, because actually I have to say that this confirmed us, and I have to say that this was rather relevant, that many companies maybe would like to do innovation, but they don't know where and how to do innovation. So this was really an in-field experience. The reverse incubator actually is, you can see, is different from an incubator. An incubator has a specific approach in promoting the entrepreneurship of the participant, the professional or the graduates. In this case, we change this model, and we try to promote both, the entrepreneurial mindset of the talents, the young talents. We call the trainees talents, but also promote the business ideas or favor the transformation of the innovation ideas or challenges into business in order to favor the innovation. The system worked like that. I mean, in this case, companies and university worked together with different roles. The companies were launching the challenges for innovation based on their needs or their ideas, these were taken by talents, organizing teams, and the challenge was then the challenges were then developed by the talent teams under the tutoring of an academic tutor, but also a professional. In the last edition, we had also a professional that was working with us, and they were also trained on entrepreneurship and business concepts. And at the end, they presented their, let's say, innovation idea based on the challenge they had to deal with. The coupling, let's say, between the challenge and the talent team was based on the specific competencies of the talented teams. And at the end, in 2 editions, the best ones could be selected for acceleration projects or programs in collaboration with accelerators. And for the others, there were still some collaboration between the talented teams and the companies that were somehow very interesting for the company from one side, but also for the talents. Actually, we did different editions. The first one was in Italy, with 9 companies and 12 teams from 3 different universities. Then we had different editions at a national level because it was impossible to carry out one at a European level due to COVID. And actually we have been working with the Federalimentari and local companies also recently in Italy, and we finished the last edition in June. And really was a very, very nice experience. And we continue to collaborate with these companies, with the talented teams. So it was really a very nice way to network talent teams. This means a student that for them was really a very interesting professionalization experience. The companies that knew what also the university can provide them, and also the companies that maybe find that the university can be helpful also for them. So this is just the main features. So actually now we are at the end of the project. We are looking for, as I was mentioning before, the exploitation and sustainability of these activities, included the digital business and training ecosystem. And the observatory has been already defined that will be exploited by the ASKFOOD Association, but we would like to, let's say, exploit it, we keep it alive because it's a really important outcome that we would like to, I mean, is a capital that we would like to be valorized in the future. That's all, and thank you for your attention, comments, and we are here for I mean, discussing with you as well. Any question also will be taken into account.
Can you explain how the digital business training will take place?
We will be opening it because unfortunately there was an issue in the linking of the 2 platforms because it was developed in another platform. And so unfortunately I would like to have it ready by today. And then when it is open, actually in the digital business and training ecosystem, you can register, and we will, I mean, try to populate, I mean, to add members, and based on what also we have organized, we have collected thanks to the survey. We will also be in touch with other organizations. I mean, we have the contact, our partners like the ASKFOOD Association and other partners in order to promote also the dissemination of events or trainings, and or we can organize, I mean, we will organize
Did she go silent?
I think her connection was cut.
Sorry, I see that there is some.
Yes, your connection was gone for a moment, Paula.
Okay. Is it okay?
Now it works.
Now,
Right.
yes.
Okay, sorry. We will try to network the registered members, and based on the registered member, we will organize meetings in order.
We cannot hear you, unfortunately. Let's just wait for her to come back. As for, let's say, a more online version of the trainings, we already do have the side of the massive open online courses, which can be seen and actually accessed. There's a division between length, price, and any kind of, actually the information will be available on the platform. As soon as we put it online, we will contact everyone who has shown interest. So I will gladly email you as well once we've linked it to the AskFood website. But the general area that is actually interesting is the one containing the talents ecosystem, which those are people who have already gone through a training or university students who are looking for a job. And those are, it's kind of a little bit like a mixture between a social network and a professional, not quite like LinkedIn, of course, but it does already include a library with papers and materials, and which you can use for your own self training, and the side with actual open online courses. So I hope in the least I've answered.
Thank you very much.
It's very impressive what has been developed in this project. We have just finalizing another EU project. It's called Smart Chain on short food supply chains, and I think Iseki is also involved in that one. And we participated in the Food Integrity Network, which closed in 2019. There is the Food Authenticity Network. And I see with all these EU projects, there are funds for developing all these nice formats and websites and strategies, which are all really impressive. But then I ask myself, who is going to raise the funds and have the funds to continue all of that, and that not this is all ending in a dead end, because how many people will finally register with AskFood and will register with Smart Chain and will register with the Food Authenticity Network, and you know, I see there the need for a solution, because in Horizon Europe, more and more projects will come, and again, very good results. And who will knit this all together? Because that is when the money that was invested will really have an impact. So this is a concern I have, while when I look at AskFood and what has been presented now, this is really impressive.
We do have a sustainability plan for a few of the
I know Smart Chain has one and all, but I know reality is when funds have ended, it's very difficult to keep it going.
Of course, but would you choose where?
You know, just to give a joyful, let's say, parenthesis to what we have been saying, I was watching one day a documentary on fish baits.
Yeah.
So it was an area in the United States where they have a very famous fish, let's say, where everybody from the United States go there and try to fish the biggest one, or there's a competition. And there was one guy who was from his entire life, he was trying to feed, he was fishing for this specific fish. It was one specific kind of fish there living and breeding in that area. And he started from young, and then he got married, and he and his wife, she didn't have a job, but she was doing this kind of jewelry, handmade jewelry, and with different shiny things and whatever. So one day he took her husband's bait, and which was supposed to be specific for that fish, and she started putting all these shiny stripes or shiny balls or shiny whatever. Okay, and she finally did, and he said, you know what you're doing, why you're messing with my fish baits, and you're going to spoil them, you're going to destroy them. She said, no, you know, not take them, they're nice, you use them. Okay, and he gave him about 10 different kind of this shiny thing, and at the end, those baits were like their most favorite thing for those fish. He didn't do anything. He just put the fish bait in the leg, and all the fishes came and to bite that specific bait. Okay, yeah, you can find it somewhere in the YouTube. I don't know if you find shiny baits in the United States. I mean, they would come up. So maybe I mean, I understand what Gerard is saying. We are all thinking about it. I mean, we are involved in 1, 2, 3. Let's say European funded projects which are similar to another organization who is doing the same, and there is a consortium of 30 capable companies and another 30 consortium and this and that. So because everything is changing in my mind, so everything is changing in our world. Maybe one, you know, you can find specific interestees for a specific, let's say, project, and then, you know, if you have like 10 people that are interested in these projects and you have 100 projects going on, then you will maybe have 1,000 people getting involved and you know, progressing with these things. Progression is something really slow. We know, Gerard said before that the most important thing is change management. We are a planet that is going against whatever is trying to change the day-to-day life of everybody. But evolution happened because, you know, I was really one very small step every day, let's say, from 1 billion people in the world. So I mean, they are also, you know, Gerard is right. Everybody who is discussing about this issue has the right points to say, but you know, we have to keep moving forward, huh? Just one step at a time, and get that fish bait, because he made millions of that fish bait. Sorry.
Yeah, we're hoping that at least a good amount of the products are going to be sustained.
Yeah, that's for sure. Apologize for the interruption, but the Wi-Fi is gone completely.
So the sustainability plan is based on paid training and online courses, or what is, so it shall be an economic activity, or how is sustainability sustained?
Yes, actually, yes. This is something we are finalizing now with a business plan for the DBTA, at least, while, I mean, the other tools will be for sure sustained, easy to be sustained within either the DBTA or the observatory. So there is obviously, if there is any interest by other projects to enlarge it, we are welcome to share them. But the DBTA is, I mean, we are finalizing now the digital business and training ecosystem, and for this, obviously, trainings and I mean, additional services can be put under payment in the future. For now, at least for this year, or even a longer time, no payment at all. So we will try to support also with support them also with the help of the partners, and that will help us also to reinforce and to strengthen the network. That is rather important.
Thank you very much for everything.
Thank you very much to you as well for attending. And you will receive also the link for the recorded presentation of today if you would like to share with other people. And we'll be in touch for sure. I mean, we will. You will receive the link to the DBTA as public. I'm afraid for this last minute because I thought it was, I mean, a very easy task to be finalized, but actually it takes more time, and unfortunately, so that's all. So thank you very much again, and see you soon for sure.
Thank you. It was very
Thank you.
interesting. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Gerald and
Good luck.
Nikos. Bye,
Thank you.
bye,
Bye.
bye.
Bye. Bye.